Hey everyone, it's Mari, and welcome to my channel. I am going to be starting a new series this week, and this is the very first episode. This series is going to be called What's Trending, and on What's Trending, we're going to be taking a look at a bunch of different trends that are happening in the paper crafting industry. And I think this is kind of fun. It's something different. And I'm really looking forward to interacting and sharing ideas with you as we take a look at trends in paper crafting. One of the trends that I've noticed that is super popular, has been in the past and continues to be popular, is working with kits. And today I'm going to be working with this Let It Snow kit from Scrapbook and Cards Today magazine. Now, lots of people create their own kits from their stash. Some people subscribe to kits. There's lots of variations in working with a kit. But the great thing about working with a kit is that everything that you need virtually is right there for you to create with. And I personally love working with beautiful kits. I'm going to start off here today with a piece of white cardstock. This is some basil marshmallow cardstock. And I showed you there the gesso that I used to prep my paper. And I'm also showing you here some swatches that I created with some Distress Oxide inks. I matched those colors up with the palette from Crepe Paper's Snowflake, which is one of the collections that's in the kit. I'm going to be using this flat brush and a little bit of water to apply some of this ink to start with on my paper. So I applied a really liberal amount of that transparent gesso from Prima to prep my paper. And I just got it on there super, super thick because I also wanted there to be a little bit of texture from the gesso on my paper. And you'll see how that's going to really change how the background is going to look here. Another trend that I want to focus on here today, besides working with a kit, is mixed media. So the two trends I really want to talk about are kits and mixed media. I find that as time goes on, mixed media seems to be getting more and more popular in paper crafting. And I personally love using mixed media in my scrapbooking projects, in my card making processes, and so on. And so here you can see that I started off adding this ink to my background with just my brush and some water. And then what I decided to do to get the ink down there a little bit more darkly was to just take the pad, flip it upside down, and actually swipe it across the paper. Now, I still want to be able to control how dark this is by adding some water, to my paper with my brush. And you can see that I'm just going to swipe that across. I'm also going to really let it drip and flow on my paper as well. So I know that there's lots of you out there that aren't really necessarily all that crazy about mixed media, but what I really want to show you here today is that this doesn't have to be difficult. It can actually be super, super easy, and you can oftentimes just use things that are in your stash. So I'm pretty sure most of us have an ink pad in our stash, and to be honest, it doesn't have to be Distress ink. Obviously, that's just what I'm using today because I have a bunch of different inks to choose from. And I found that these particular inks matched up really nicely with the colors that I wanted to work with today. But you don't need a ton of mixed media supplies to be able to use mixed media in your scrapbooking processes. Here you can see that I'm applying this with a picket fence blending brush, but you could apply this ink or these different inks, whether it's dry brushing or wet or whatever, with really just whatever you have in your stash. Now, today I'm also going to be scrapbooking a square photo, and I'm going to be trying to match up the sort of like the tones and colors as well in that photo with the project that I'm working on here. So you'll see that the colors that I'm using are going to try to complement not just the kit colors, but also the colors and sort of like the general look of that photograph as well. So the photo is a winter photo when I want to try to create sort of like a wintry sort of a feel with this mixed media that I'm using here. So when you're thinking about the trends of working with a kit and mixed media, I want you to leave a comment in the description box below with regards to what you think about those trends. Are these things that appeal to you? Do you like using a kit? Is this something that you think you would consider doing if you've never worked with a kit before? Or tell me if you already work with kits, what kits you use. Are you a subscriber to a kit club? What are you thinking about kits in general? And also, have you tried mixed media? Is it something that you think is a trend that you will maybe in 2020 try to get into if you've never tried it before? Or do you think that it's a trend that you just can't wait until it's gone? I've heard some people say that. Let me know what you think in the comments below. What I'm doing now is I'm just spritzing that distress ink with this water, and this is going to really create a cool effect. Firstly, it's going to make the ink sort of look splotchy and really distressed. And also my paper towel is going to leave a little bit of texture on the background as well, which I really like. Now I'm also going to use some of this white acrylic paint to splatter down onto my paper to kind of make it look like there's snowfall in the background. And I watered this down, but I also wanted it to be fairly chunky on there. So I just tapped that on. And now I'm going to take some Vicki Boutin Irridescent Glaze and one of Vicki Boutin's stencils. And this is going to kind of create the effect of really kind of sparkly snow in the background, but in the shape of this kind of snowflake pattern. I think it's kind of almost like a flower, but it almost looks like a snowflake too. And I really love this stencil. So I'm going to get this on here with my palette knife, and I love those big chunks of glitter in this in this glitter paste. Again, another type of medium that you can use in mixed media, and I'm trying to show you here how really sparkly and beautiful that looks. One of the things that I really love to do as part of this mixed media trend is to create backgrounds. It's super easy to do. You need a piece of white cardstock. That's about it. And just whatever mediums you have in your stash. So for me, I've got stencils, I've got pastes, I do have ink, I've got paint, but you can virtually use whatever it is that you have. Now, for some people, the trend of mixed media might really bug you because you find that your paper is warped. But I'm going to show you a trick here that will work for you. It works for me. If you don't have a laminator, you can also use an iron. I think just about everybody has an iron in their house. If you take a piece of parchment paper and cover your project, whether it's with going over it with an iron or using a laminator like I am here, you can use the parchment paper to protect the project and put it through your laminator or iron it, and it will flatten it out beautifully. And I'm going to show you that right away here. When this comes out, it's nice and flat, and I love that, and it's perfect, and so I don't have to worry about it being warped. Something else you can use that will help add some dimension on your projects is some of those embossing folders you might have in your stash. And you know what? I've had these embossing folders forever. This one says Cuttlebug on it. But I used a piece of vellum and put it through that embossing folder, and now that is going to be a photo mat behind my photo. And I added that on there with a little bit of foam adhesive to give it some dimension. And now I'm going to create some layers behind that vellum, behind the photo. So more mats and just creating more dimension and more layers behind my photograph. So I used an old chipboard frame, or I'm going to use an old chipboard frame from my stash, but a lot of this stuff is from the kit that I'm going to be using here that you'll see coming up here. Now, like I said, the kit has lots of the snowflake collection in it, and so I wanted to use some of the snowflake collection in the layers of this photo mat. I did a little bit of fussy cutting, and I'm going to use some of the die cuts from the kit, And all of these things are going to help me to create the layers for this photo mat and for the entire layout. I really love using a lot of layers in my projects. I think that it's a really easy way to create dimension and make the layout look really super interesting. And especially when you've got that mixed media background, you don't actually need a ton more stuff on the layout to make it look great. But one way that you can add more detail is by adding some layers. I'm also going to add a little bit of distressing to the layers on the in the photo mat, and I'm just going to do that with this little distressing tool. I'm going to just continue to add some papers to this photo mat, including this paper that's got some metallic elements to it. And this is from the Create Paper Snowflake collection. Just going to stick that down there, and I will trim it off with my scissors. And I really like how this is going to look. I also would really love for you to leave a comment in the description box below about or in the comment section below, I should say. Leave a comment if you could that tells me what you think some of the trends are that are happening in paper crafting. Trends that you think are cool, trends that you don't like. Let me know what you think some of the trends are that we could be talking about in the future in this trending series that we have going on. So what I'm doing now is I'm just taking a piece of Tutu Pink Basil cardstock, and I'm going to distress the one edge of it, and then I'm going to adhere it to the bottom of the layout. I'm just adding a little bit of liquid adhesive, and I'm going to get that stuck down. And then I'm also going to be adding another little strip of pattern paper from the Snowflake collection and some more vellum. Before I do that, I'm going to start getting some of these other layers stuck to my mat. So this is actually a little chipboard frame that I took from my stash. I just want to trim it down a little bit. I don't want to use the whole frame behind there because I can still use that other piece. And these are some Paige Evans Snowflake die cuts. These are from Paige Evans cut file that I cut on my Cameo. So I cut those 3 times. I've got 3 different sizes here, and I'm going to use those as embellishments on the layout as well. So here's some of that snowflake paper. I just tore a strip of that off. I'm going to slide that in underneath that Tutu Pink paper. Just see me slide that in there, get that stuck in there. I'm going to overlay over top of that a piece of vellum. I really like how this looks. I think it's a neat bit of texture that's going to add more detail. That is again from, I use that same Cuttlebug Snowflake embossing folder to create this vellum emboss strip that's going to go across here. I'm going to staple that down, and then I'm going to just build the rest of the layers on top of those 3 strips below the or underneath that photo mat. So I'm just going to get that vellum down there using a stapler. I'm going to staple that down on both sides, and I'm just going to fuss with that for a minute here and get that all down, adhered down. So I'm actually not going to use any other mixed media on this layout. That's it. The mixed media that I put on this background to create the background, super simple. Didn't take me a ton of time to do it. All of the things that I used here dried very, very quickly and super, super simple to do. Mixed media does not have to be difficult. It does not have to be daunting or scary for you. If you don't think it's for you and you don't think you'll ever try it, that's cool. That's perfectly fine. But I guess the point that I'm trying to make about this mixed media trend is that it doesn't have to be complicated. It can be really, really simple and really effective. I really like how this mixed media background turned out, and I think it really complements my entire layout. Now I'm just taking some more of the die cuts that were in that little snowflake ephemera pack in the kit, And I want to just layer them, and the way that I'm going to accomplish that is by using foam. So you saw that I put that really bright pink piece of craft foam underneath my photo layer to lift it up off the layout. And now that allows me just to stick things kind of in and around those different levels on that photo mat layer, including some more of these beautiful snowflake cut files and just more of the die cut pieces that I'm going to just continue to add in. Some of these I fussy cut from some of the pattern paper, and some of them are just die cuts from the die cut pack from the kit. So I'm just going to just sort of get an idea of where I want to put things. I'm going to show you placing things down, and then I'm going to turn my camera off and stick everything down off camera, just so you don't have to watch that. I'm going to stick everything virtually exactly where I'm showing you I'm putting it. And then I'll come back and show you what this looks like with everything stuck down. So that is all the bits and pieces stuck down on the layout. And now I'm just going to continue to put a few other bits and pieces down, including fussing with the title. Now for the title, what I wanted to do was add some of the alphas that are part of the kit. And so these are some foam thickers, foam alphas. I love them because they're iridescent, like that the paste that I used, the Vicki Boutin Irridescent Glaze. And they also, the foam that backs them is pink, which is perfect. So what I want my title to say is, "We love family time." The word love is part of a cardstock sticker sheet from the kit. It's from the pink paisley, I think it's called Christmas Together line. And the little word phrase, the little phrase family time that's above my photo there, is also from the pink paisley collection. So I'm just going to get things placed down there. I did have a sticker, or I should say a little die cut piece up kind of in that area that was kind of a mustard color. And I ended up moving that. I thought it was a little bit distracting. It was too close to the title, and I just moved it over to the left side of the photo. I wanted to keep some of that mustard color in there in 3 different areas because I had used it sort of in a few areas on the layout. I thought that it looked nice with the color of Bailey's plaid coat in the photograph. There are these really, really adorable, they're called All That Bling stickers from Jolie's Boutique, and they're just a beautiful gold, and I really love these. I wanted to get 3 of these on the layout, and I also wanted to get down 3 of these little colorful stars as well, and I wanted to put that burgundy one up at the top because I've got that burgundy in 2 other places, and I just wanted to repeat that at the top of the layout as well. So I'm just about done here. I'm just kind of taking a look, and I'm just showing you all the places where journaling could be added to this layout. I'm not going to do that on camera. I oftentimes like to photograph my layouts before I add the journaling, just because sometimes when my layout shows up in different places, I like my journaling to be maybe a little bit more private. I'm showing you the beautiful, beautiful glitter and shine of this layout. I think it's so pretty. I did a little bit of sewing around the edge of the layout as well, just to finish the edge off. And that is going to be it for this layout. And there's a ton of photos at the end here for you to see up close. Please don't forget to leave a comment about what you're thinking about the trends in paper crafting right now, what you're thinking about the trend of using kits or the trend of mixed media. Let me know your thoughts. I'd love to chat with you about that further in the comments section. I hope you like this series. Let me know what you think. I'm looking forward to continuing this on my channel as part of a weekly schedule, and that is my plan. So I hope you're excited about that. I think it's kind of a cool idea to think about and talk about trends and how they're impacting our hobby, and what are positive trends and what you think aren't fun trends at all. Anyways, guys, thanks so much for stopping by. I hope to see you again here on my channel. Have an amazing day, and I will see you again. Bye-bye.